from Grenada in the Caribbean, where
Hello,
the
everybody.
sun is shining and the weather is warm. I hope you're in a nice cozy place today, whether it's up north or in some place semi-tropical or tropical too. Today we're going to be talking about ocean sailing, offshore passage making, doing crossings, and Caribbean cruising. So we have a lot of topics to cover today, and we will also be answering questions that have come in to us. And of course, feel free to ask questions in the comments below. And first of all, is everyone hearing us all right? The old question.
Video shot looks okay. We've got the background there seeing out of our beautiful pilot house windows. We're in the pilot house there.
Oh, great. Oh, we've got friends from the Netherlands there. Hello, Sirius, SY Sirius, and friends from Idaho, Chapman and Jamie. Oh, glad the sun is shining there in Idaho. And yeah, Serenity. Oh, all kinds. Great. Thanks for the sound check,
audio's
everybody. Yes.
Great.
All good.
Super.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know us, we are Cheryl and Paul Shard. We're aboard Distant Shores 4 in Prickly Bay in the Caribbean.
That's Prickly Bay out the window.
Yes. And in last December, we made a transatlantic crossing from the Verde Islands, just off the coast of Africa. And it was the third transatlantic crossing that we did with this boat, which is an Enksail Orion 49 built in the Netherlands. And it's just a year and a bit old. And
It's got over 16,000 miles on her at this point.
And we've done 3 transatlantic crossings with her already. So we have lots to talk about. And actually, we've been cruising for 36 years now. And this third crossing on Distant Shores 4 was actually our 12th ocean crossing since we began sailing or cruising internationally in 1989. So we have lots of information to share. We'll be here for the winter in the Caribbean, sailing north through the islands. Right now, the Toronto Boat Show is on the 17th to the 25th, and we're normally there conducting cruising seminars. But this year, we thought we would do hands-on cruising seminars aboard our boat. Yeah. So if you check the Distant Shores website, and I'll put the link in the comments as well, for Sail Away Weeks, we're running a few different destinations for beginners, advanced, those wanting offshore or night sail experience. We still have a few berths left, and we'll talk more about that later. But right now, we want to cover topics on offshore passage making, including route planning, watch keeping, weather forecasting, pros and cons of rally participation or going on your own. We've done both. And then later we'll be talking about Caribbean cruising and what it's like on an aluminium boat if you're from Europe. Yeah, so let's talk about our third
Talk a little bit about the
trip.
crossing.
Yeah.
This is our third trip across the Atlantic in this boat. We've done the same trip in 4 other boats across from the Canaries. So this time we left the Canary Islands and went down to the Cape Verde Islands. The choice there is you can do a direct crossing of nearly 3,000 miles from the Canaries. But first of all, what you pretty much want to do is head south and pick up the trade winds. So we always figure, why not just go south to the Cape Verde Islands and then stop there and then get ready for the crossing. That way, if there's anything else you need to top up the provisions or tweak anything that's gone wrong on the boat, it's a nice thing to be able to do.
And it's a fun place to see. And it's also nice if we have new crew members on board who are, not so familiar with being offshore for a long period of time. Sailing from the Canary Islands to Cape Verde, it's about 5 days. And then
it's 800 and something miles, and it's got a range of climates and winds as you start in cooler weather and head down into the tropics. So by the time you get to the Cape Verde, you're actually at the same latitude as the Caribbean islands.
Right.
So it seems like it's a logical place to divide the passage, and it's a charming little marina. So
And it's so much fun because all the boats there are, well, pretty much all of them are international cruising boats. There's
yeah,
boats from all over the world. Most people have, 2 to 4 crew members on. Everyone's a serious sailor there. Their boats are seriously equipped. And of course, there's lots of information exchange and beer consumed at the floating bar in Mindelo. But yeah, it's a great spot. And as Paul said, that's pretty much where the trade winds pick up. And the old saying was, head south till the butter melts and then turn right.
yeah.
That's pretty
that
much
still
it.
works. That same old model still works. The only thing is you have to not have the butter in the refrigerator, because otherwise it's not going to melt and you'll keep on going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that passage divides it into an 800 or 900 mile passage, plus another 2,100 miles across from the Cape Verde Islands. So we just topped up our provisions there, and set off with a nice trade wind forecast. It turned out we had slightly stronger trade winds than on this. They're still average winds, but perhaps slightly stronger than some of the crossings that we've had, where the seas were basically always 3 meters, and some of them were 3.5 meters.
Yeah.
So which is about 11 or 12 feet. So it's
was
it's
a
nice
little
to be
more,
going downwind.
Yeah,
Say
yeah,
that.
we were very glad. And it was a little bit more rolly than normal. And we did get squalls more frequently. The usual pattern is that you don't get the squalls until you start to get close to the Caribbean. But there was a big storm up north, which affected our weather. And so we pretty much had squalls the whole way across. But they come, they go. You can track them on radar. We have Raymarine radar with the Doppler
Yeah.
settings, so we can see squalls on the radar if they're coming towards us or they're going to pass us, which is a great stress reducer, isn't it?
Squalls basically come in, you're going with either 15 to 20 or 20 to 25 knots of wind as the standard following breeze out of the east. And then when the squalls come up, they come up to usually, they vary from 5 to 10 knots more than that, or occasionally more than that again. So they could be 10 or even 15 knots more. And the squalls usually come through for as much as little as 5 or 10 minutes, or perhaps 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the weather clears through again and the wind goes back into the predictable pattern. So we've liked doing that with the twin head sails, because we can reef, and you have to be ready to reef. You have to be ready to handle 35 knots of wind. And we like to have the 2 head sails so we can furl out head sails on each side with poles. And then if you want to reef them, you can just reef in either one. One person on watch can reef a head sail and then reef the other head sail. And now if the wind comes up a little stronger than that, you just reef them a little more. So we like that method of dealing with the squalls.
And we have a comment here about, do we miss our Solent rig? You were using main and pulled out jib on this boat. We did do that for the second transatlantic crossing from Bermuda to the Azores.
Yep.
We had just installed a new preventer, and so we were testing that out. But normally it's as Paul just described, that we have the Solent rig, the 2 head sails fairly close together, so that we can unfurl both and pull them both out.
Yeah, so in order to do that, we got a second Genoa. So there's 2 Genoas, and you can unfurl both of them.
Yes.
And then after that, we can go back to using the big Code 0 that we put on there too. So it gives us the other options for different sailing areas.
Yes. Yeah,
There
great.
was some other questions about, one of the questions was about the noise. Oh yes, we've often had people asking if the aluminum boat is not a noisier boat than a fiberglass boat. And that is really, I find that such an interesting question, because honestly, this boat is way quieter than any other boat we've ever had.
It really is.
In terms of, it's got a rock solid construction out of aluminum, and then it's spray foam insulation above the waterline right up to the deck and over the headliner. So a hot sunny day, the insulation keeps the heat out. So all the ceilings are cold, and the heat is out, and also it keeps the sound out. So if there's never any creaking when the boat is sailing.
That's nice.
The aluminum structure just is so solid.
Yeah, there's no flexing.
No flexing in the hull. There's no banging noises, and I guess you get the same sort of slapping of the transom
Right.
with the shape of the transom. But basically it's a lot quieter than any of our other fiberglass boats.
Yes, we had someone ask how different, or what are the differences sailing a fiberglass boat as opposed to an aluminum or aluminium sailboat, especially on a offshore passage or long ocean crossing.
Yeah, so I'd say there wasn't much of a difference in sailing based on how the boat is set up. So having what sail plan you've got and everything determines how she sails. But basically, the boat is quiet. One of the differences is the structure. So it's very easy to make a boat that's very, very stiff. And I think
So yeah, no flexing or creaking or groaning.
traditionally on fiberglass boats, if they're not very carefully made, when the rigging strains on one tack, some of the doors jam shut or have to be adjusted a few times to make sure that when the hull shifts shape a little bit, the fiberglass boat, then the weight rig starts to creak, or the shrouds that are on the leeward side, the leeward shrouds, will end up getting slack and whipping around.
Yeah,
And
we had
all of that is gone. The rig is nice and stiff and sturdy. So
And we previously owned 4 fiberglass mono hull sailboats, and we did ocean crossings with all of them. So they're strong, we trusted them, but I have to admit I feel just a lot less, or a lot more safe on the aluminum hull. I just feel if we ran into anything, there's less chance of the hull being holed. And we have seen a lot of big stuff out there floating around. We've never seen a container, which is the nightmare.
would you say a lot of big stuff? I guess over the years.
Over the years, we've been sailing 36 years. We saw a full-size floating refrigerator go by one time, remember, on the way to Cape Verde. And then we saw that big metal piece that looked like a support for a lifeboat or some kind of auxiliary vessel on a
It was
ship.
a big steel tank
Yeah,
that would have perhaps cracked a fiberglass hull if it had
right.
hit in the wrong conditions.
Yes.
And this boat also has got a watertight forward bulkhead and a watertight aft bulkhead too, which is new for us.
Yes.
So
And it's rated for ice, so we're
what were
good.
the other questions here?
Okay, with aluminum hot, or is it noisy? No difference sailing.
Oh, and just to think about the hot, I just point out any boat that's got big windows like this in the pilot house, which give us such a great view, also let in the sun. So the boat tends to heat up. But in this case, we've got, you can't maybe really see this unless you have a 4K television, but this window is actually cool.
Yes.
It's barely heating up because there's Pfeiffer-Tex screens on the outside. So that's a wraparound screen that goes on all the windows in the pilot house, which is the big sun absorber.
Right. We also have blinds if we want to keep the sunshine out, but it would mean that the glass was still getting hot, so there would be
The heat's still coming
radiant heat.
in this case, the radiant heat is about 75 or 80% of the heat is taken out by hitting this black screen on the outside, and then the air blows that heat away instead of it being absorbed into the boat. So
Right, and yet you can still see through it perfectly. And at night, it gives you a little bit more privacy if you don't have the blinds closed. You know how when the lights are on inside, you can really see through the windows normally, or the ports.
Yeah.
But Yeah, so we really, that's the only different thing we do for the tropics, isn't it? And we do have air conditioning in the boat and lots of ventilation. That's very important no matter what boat you take to the Caribbean or any tropical destination. You want to be sure you have lots of opening hatches and cross breezes, that the cabins are well ventilated. You just, you want to keep cool. And we try not to use the air conditioning unless we absolutely have to. It's usually, if we're in an enclosed harbor or marina or something. But normally, it's nice to stay acclimatized to the lovely warmth that we as Canadians long for in the winter. So we're feeling very blessed right now.
I see SV Serenity commented that thankfully we don't have teak decks, and I'll second that. I mean, we did have teak decks on a couple of boats, but the teak decks definitely heat up. They absorb the heat so that they can be even. It's quite often with our teak deck that it was too hot to walk on in your bare feet. Whereas the decks on this boat are painted non-slip.
Yes.
And that is actually cool. It's never even warm to the.
Yeah, we never have problems walking
warm to the touch.
barefoot on it.
And then the cockpit's done with the cork.
Yes.
Composite cork, and that also is quite cool. It isn't in the bright blazing sun, but even when it is lying in the sun, it doesn't get that hot. So.
Right. Yeah, it's very comfortable. And the Orion 49 has quite nice wide side decks. One of the things we really appreciate about this boat. And for us, the main criteria of this boat, which is our 5th boat, was to have a pilot salon, which we're sitting in right now, that we can steer from. And just across the way is our nav station. So we can do watches in cold weather. Even in hot weather, we've been appreciating it because you can really get too much of this strong tropical sun. So it's great for hiding from the sun too when you're underway. And of course, rain. And we have not yet had snow, but hopefully coming up, high latitudes, we keep trying. But very nice to be spending the winter in the tropics. Yeah. Good comment about the decks. Thanks for that, Rob. Yeah, some more questions here. Did you use your hybrid regen on the crossing?
We have used it, but on this particular crossing we didn't. Instead, we were making speed. Whenever you use the hybrid regen, it will slow the boat down by about 3/4 of a knot. And I think it's a little bit difficult to admit that we're going to lose speed. So
yeah, when you're out there for 2 weeks.
Wanted to keep moving along. So
yeah,
we use the engine to generate power,
solar.
And the solar kicks in a fair bit also. So we were able to get away with that.
Yeah, but we did use the regen quite a lot on the first transatlantic crossing. We had some problems with a defective gearbox, which made it difficult for us to use the engine to charge up the battery. So we used regen the whole time. We need to do about 6.5, 7 knots, which we were doing, and that really kept our battery bank topped up. We have a 30 kilowatt lithium battery bank, and then when we got into harbor in Antigua on that first trip, we were able to use the electric drive to get into harbor because we couldn't get into gear with the diesel. So it was a really great redundancy and backup, and basically, saved our bacon on that first trip. But all those issues have been worked out. It was a very stress-free crossing this time.
Yeah, it was lovely, even despite the big seas.
Yeah, and we know the boat better. I mean, we've done almost 17,000 miles with the boat now, where the first crossing, it was still a new boat. We were having some teething problems with the boat, as you do any new boat, and even new to you boats have problems. So it's good to know the systems well, and you certainly get to know them well after you've owned the boat for a while too, don't you?
One of the things that we did that was be used in different ways, as well as improving upwind performance, because the Atlantic crossing with 3.5-meter seas meant that we were getting a bit of rolling as we're going downwind. And so we set the keel partially up. So instead of having it straight down, in which case it stops the boat from rolling the most, it reduces the rolling. But if you also raise it a little bit, so we had it about 70% down instead of 100, then it stops the rolling, but also makes the boat tend to keep a course straight downwind because of the center of effort being moved aft. So, so we did that on this last crossing as well, and we're getting to learn that, tweaking it a little bit from 50% down, so it's back like this, to 80% down like that, and just seeing how much it improves the rolling of the boat going downwind.
We have another question about power. A couple of questions from Serenity, Sail
And
Serenity.
Scott Nielsen.
Yes. You had a very high output charging system on your last boat. You didn't use that system on this one. And that was basically because we like to embrace new technology, and we were very interested in the hybrid electric system, which is still, you know, bleeding edge technology.
Yeah, we're still tweaking that. If there's anything that we're still working on, it's some of the updates that are coming through for that system that we're adding onto the boat in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and the system you're referring to is called the integral system. And
Yeah, so the integral system puts a large high output alternator on the front of the engine. So instead we put the combi system, which has a large drive unit that also works as a high output alternator, on the back of the engine, so with the output. So that meant that we would be able to drive the boat with the system as well, which the integral system didn't have that option. So now the integral system offer that as an option, which is something to look at.
yeah, it's just new, and in fact, hull number 2 and 3 of the Orion 49 currently in build are going with the integral system, but there's a big back order or some delay in development, I'm not sure which, so they're being held up by that right now. And we did consider it after we had some initial problems with the hybrid electric drive, but we want to keep sailing, and we found the solution, and everything was resolved with the system that we had. So yeah, we'd rather be sailing.
Yeah, so one of the things that we did add, though, was to have a high output alternator as a backup system on the front of the engine. So it is kind of like the integral. So we now have a 48 volt high output alternator on the front of the engine. Produces about 4 to 5 kilowatts,
Right.
as well as and then that can be used at any time. And then the system on the back of the engine can produce about a similar 4 or 5 kilowatts, but it can only be used when you're in drive.
Right.
So
And the next part of the question is, did you find the solar panels enough to handle
that's Scott
your...
Nielsen, yeah.
Oh, Scott, yeah. Your electric needs, and if so, how much solar do you have?
So we've got about 800 watts of solar panels on the arch, and I think right now it's producing about 650 on a nice sunny Caribbean day. The solar is more than enough to handle the loads during the day, and to top off a little bit also. But especially with the cooking, I think we do need more power. So as soon as the sun goes back down, we're back dipping into the battery bank. So we get around 4 kilowatts, 3 or 4 kilowatts out of the solar, but we need more than 5 or 6 with the cooking.
Right.
We're also charging up the battery. We've got a little charger over here to plug in the outboard motor battery and tank up our gas tank with electrons,
Yep.
which uses about a kilowatt. Is the capacity of the outboard e-propulsion system is about a kilowatt, and we use that up in about normally a week. It's surprising how long that little tank lasts for.
Oh yeah, we get quite a surprising range with it. We're really pleased with that. We weren't expecting that, were we?
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're experimenting a lot with electric. We do have an electric oven with an induction cooktop right now, a GNS Bass model, Ocean Chef 3. And so that really affects our power budget compared to our previous boats where we had propane. So, you know, that is a much bigger draw on our power budget than with propane. But we are so enjoying not having to worry about how to get fuel and how to transport tanks. And in different countries, they have different tanks and different systems. And sometimes it's butane and sometimes it's propane. We don't need a solenoid when we want to use the oven. We just
There's the
turn
safety
it
angle
on.
too. There's just
Yeah.
no worrying about
Yeah.
gas detectors and stuff like that. So
Right. Yeah. So
it
that's
feels good.
That's been nice, but we do have to keep an eye on it. But it's been a pleasure, and we're just using it as we would our propane oven. We're baking bread. We're roasting chickens. We're,
Yeah.
you know, it's
Well, I think you even heat up the oven sometimes just to crisp up some bread,
yeah,
like stale bread, sort of.
yeah, like a warm up a baguette or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
That's
so-
just showing how much power we have.
Yes. And, but as a just provisioning note here, even with the propane stove and oven, I always keep a good supply of food that you can eat cold if there were ever any problems. So, you know, canned hams and vegetables and things like that you can make.
Yeah,
And we
that's
carry fresh cabbage and lettuce and tomatoes that you can.
So if the stove went wrong,
Right.
we would be limited to just cooking only in the microwave.
Right.
You could use that as a backup.
Yes, we have that as well. Yeah.
Don't put the whole canned ham in there or things will go badly wrong. But
Yeah,
take the ham out of the can before you put it in the microwave.
that's true. Yeah. Okay. What's your amp hour use per day, would you say? I also have induction cooking.
I don't know anything. I don't really remember amp hours. We don't use amp hours
Yeah,
anymore. We
yeah.
tend to use kilowatts. We have a 30 kilowatt bank of batteries, so 30 kilowatts in amp hours. In amps, you have to talk about which voltage you're talking about. So anyway, yeah, let's not talk about amp hours. But kilowatts, I think we tend to use maybe a kilowatt to cook dinner, a kilowatt hour. That means using it at a
That
kilowatt
would be a
rating.
high one if I was really roasting something. Because when we...
That would be a 3%.
Yeah. Yeah.
that you're
Oh,
talking
okay.
about.
Then, yeah.
We sometimes talk about a percentage of our battery bank. So to make a dinner with anywhere from 1 to 3% of the battery used to make a dinner.
Yeah, and we have a monitor right down in the galley too. So before I start preparing a meal, I usually check the, you know, what percentage of battery we have and what it is after I prepared the meal, or Paul or whoever's cooking. And I also check the water level too, because, you know, sometimes lots of water gets used with cooking and washing
Well, if you're
dishes and showering. and
Washing
things.
dishes wastefully,
Yeah.
a lot is used.
Yeah, yeah,
But making dinner, its big user is going to be the power. So
yes. Or if
So
you're cooking pasta or something, big pots of water, seafood. Okay.
hey, there's Ronald commenting.
Oh, welcome, Ronald Van
Hello,
Enkhausen, our boat
Our boat
builder.
builder.
Does the cork in the cockpit heat up like the teak does? No, it does not. It is beautiful. It always stays cool. And it's very stain proof. People worry like, oh, if you spill something on this, is it going to stain? But there's some kind of sealant impregnated in it. And we've had people spill red wine and all potato chips, you know how greasy they are. And we can just hose it off, and it's very comfortable to walk on and to sit on.
Yeah, it's never hot for sitting.
Yeah.
I mean, we have our bimini up most of the time, but still, this area is in the sun for like a while, and it just doesn't get hot. It's surprising.
Yeah, it's really nice. We had no experience with the cork in the cockpit before, and we were a little uncertain of it, but the reviews were good, and everyone that had it really loved it. So we're very glad that
Yeah.
we went with that. Yeah, and it looks nice too. It looks nice. Yeah. 76 amp hours, about the same as I use for dinner from John.
Yeah, so
Thank
it's
you.
76 amps times 12 volts makes around a kilowatt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just use kilowatts because it's a rating of power
Yes.
rather than a rating of current only.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Yeah.
takes into account the different fact that you're using 12 volts and we're using 48 volts.
Mm-hmm.
We can't talk amp hours.
Yeah. And I was just some comments about the induction cooking. I was a little worried that, at sea it would be slippery and that it would get scratched from the pots and so on. But the GNS Pass is built for marine use. So there are pot clamps. The stove is gimbaled also, so that's good. But a trick that I learned from some other sailors is that you can put, those silicone baking mats that you can line cookie sheets with and so on. You can put them right on top of the induction cooktop.
So they actually go between the stove and the pot.
Yes, you're cooking through them. It keeps the pot from sliding. It keeps the pot from scratching the cooktop. If I have a big pot of water or chili or something, I will use the pot clamp too, just to be extra safe. But it's been really great. And the silicone mats eventually discolor, if you're doing a lot of high heat cooking, but like after 3 months or something. And so I've replaced them a couple of times, but more just for appearance than that they're not working. So there's another galley tip for you. Yeah. Okay. So weather forecasting and route planning, both for the Caribbean and our ocean passages, we use Predict Wind.
Yeah, Predict Wind is great, and it used to be very important in the days when satellite communications was so slow that you couldn't get much data across. But now having Starlink, which by the way, this is being transmitted via Starlink. I think this computer is currently on
It's on
that's
my
on the local
on my phone on the data.
phone data to Grenada. We wanted to leave the Starlink just to have the clearest picture for the broadcast.
Yeah. Yeah, so we were talking about Predict Wind.
Yes, so we use Predict Wind, and we can use Predict Wind is great once you've got it calibrated with your boat's performance, so that it can not only give you weather, but it can suggest a potential route and how the weather will be impacting you over the next week or even 10 days, with how the forecast is going to affect your boat based on the fact that you're moving forward at a speed of, say, 7.5 knots on average, with a breeze of 20 to 25 from astern. So we really like that. And then we used it to plan a course down right from you get almost the whole forecast route from the Cape Verde across to the Caribbean right from the start. It's amazing how well that worked.
Mm-hmm.
And then we planned the course into Martinique, because that seemed like a nice place to make a landfall. It's got a nice safe anchorage that can be entered in any time, day or night. Just watch for the crab pots. And then that put us in the middle of the Caribbean. So our plan was to spend the winter in the Caribbean doing sail away weeks. And the first one was to come from Martinique and
St.
Lucia down to the Grenadines and then to Grenada here. So our first guests have just left and we're missing them already. So
yes, we had a great time, and they're a Canadian. They are a Canadian couple that are planning to go cruising in retirement. They have a smaller boat on Lake Ontario. It was actually Sean's second time with us, and this time he brought Andrea with him. And we had a great time. They both love sailing, and they both wanted to learn boat handling with a bigger boat. So we picked up moorings and did navigation with them, anchoring, all the stuff. And we just really had a great time. And they're coming back next year. So we're thrilled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a great cruise. It was us revisiting the Grenadines as well, which was the main highlight, and the Grenada, that we
Yep.
haven't been here for really 10 years with our boat.
No.
So that was just super to be back there, and
Yes.
now we're going to be turning around and heading back north. So again, we're using predict wind to look forward at this more upwind work as we head from here back up to Martinique again, and then on through the windward or the leeward islands, and then we get to go on to the BVI, which is one of our favorite cruising destinations ever. It's still great, and we still have a couple of cabins available for our visit through there if you're interested in that.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you on board.
Yes, it's a great place for people new to sailing or just new to the idea of cruising in foreign places, because it's very protected sailing, and
It's a great place even just for getting the feel of what the sort of wind strengths are in the tropics and sailing techniques. One of the nice things is that you've got the island group. Once you've checked in, once you've cleared into the BVIs, you don't have to do customs anymore. So you can just sail to all the different islands, and it's really nice anchorage, just so you can have some nice sailing for just a few hours, anywhere from 1 hour up to 4 or 5 hours is practically the longest distance you can sail in one shot. And then you've got to a nice new anchorage, and
yeah, and there's moorings in many places which make it easy, and yeah, it's a great spot. Paul took me to the British Virgin Islands when he was trying to convince me that the cruising life was desirable.
my secret weapon.
And we have since had other couples with the same success, haven't
Yes.
we? After they've sailed
It's
with us.
nice.
Yeah. Question from Scott. Do you ever use headsets to communicate from the helm to the bow when anchoring or picking up a mooring? And yes, we do. Friends of ours, Noel and Tracy, who crewed for us across the Atlantic, are motorcyclists, and they gave us these gifts many years ago, and just brought us a new set this time that they were here. And it makes such a difference. I mean, for years and years, we just used hand signals, and we were fine with that. But with the headsets, you don't have to raise your voice. You can give a lot more information. Everything stays calm. It's like, oh, it's stuck. Can you just pause? Instead of, it's stuck. What? It's stuck. You know?
Well, using hand signals is also trouble if you're working with
If you need both.
one hand. You're trying to use one hand even to
Yeah.
do something with getting a line on or something, and then you're not having a hand to hold on to the ship. You're trying to make hand signals. So
Yeah.
oh no, go
Yeah.
back, go back.
Yeah. Oh yeah, love the BVI and wish they would allow for a longer cruising permit. Yeah, yeah, we'll be there for a month, I guess. Yeah. Oh, someone said, Chapman, heard there was recent gang activity in Grenada. Don't know if it's true or not, but what about the consensus on additional military ships, Bahamian cruising fees being increased, etc.? All good comments. We have not had any news of gang activity. I think in every place where there's poverty, you do have to be careful, lock things up. But we find in Grenada especially, everyone is super friendly.
Yeah.
And the cruising community here is amazing. I mean, we came in, there were a lot of people that we know from years ago, even from our very first year of cruising. There's boats here that we met then. So, but we have local friends. Like yesterday, Paul went for a trail run.
Trail run on the Hash House Harriers, which we filmed back in the day about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's a nice way to get to know local people, because the hashing is a fun run club. It's called a drinking club with a running problem is their slogan.
Yeah.
And they go out in the hills and run around so we did a bunch of rivers up high.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Had a whole hoot. But then you also get to meet so many local people.
Yeah.
So I think of all the islands, this is the one where we've met the most local people because of doing the
activities.
hashes.
Yeah.
I think there was
But even in
probably-
Carnival, The people were very welcoming of tourists and cruising sailors to participate in the parades and everything.
Yes, it's very welcoming
It's
island.
not like that in other islands that we've seen anyway.
Yeah.
A few more parts to this question. Worries about the U.S. military presence in Venezuela. Here, we're fairly close to Trinidad, Tobago, and Venezuela, but far enough away that there's been no evidence of that. And we have not seen ships or helicopters or any sign
heard
of,
anything
or
about it.
heard anything. We were worried that there might be some kind of reporting system, which I think there is if you're closer to the waters there. But essentially, everything in the islands we've seen from Martinique through the Grenadines down to Grenada are as they've always been in the winter, which is such a delight. Everyone is relaxed and enjoying sailing and
Yeah.
swimming and snorkeling. So that's wonderful.
But if
And
anything, I'd have to say that Grenada is just, again, the most charming and open and friendly of the islands.
yes.
More so that we can meet more people than we ever have in the Grenadines, for instance.
Yeah, there's a big cruisers VHF radio net here, and they coordinate activities so that local taxi drivers show up on certain days for shopping trips and outings and event. I think there were a couple of buses that went up to the Grenada, is that what it's called, where you were running yesterday.
Oh, buses from the cruise ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, for the cruisers and anyone in
Oh,
town
for
that
people at
wanted
the
to go
Hash.
on the Hash. You went
Yeah,
with
'cause-
friends.
Well, that's so we could pack 4 people into a car. Because
Right.
there isn't a lot of parking up there.
Yes,
Right.
but they have buses. So, there's
Yeah.
all that kind of interaction with the local vendors. And there's great chandleries here. There's a Budget Marine right here in Prickly Bay. So another good reason why cruising sailors hang out. And you're just on the edge of the hurricane belts. So it is a good place to spend hurricane season. We did that one year.
Yeah.
And there's so much going on. I mean, water aerobics and parties and movie nights and happy hours. And anyway,
Yeah.
it's a sailing life. It's a great life. Oh, Bahamian cruising fees being increased. Yes, they are. And I know that will affect a lot of people's cruising plans that regularly sail to the Bahamas. Our visitors there, we accept their decisions, and they've just been through a couple of bad hurricanes and COVID and everything else. So we feel if they need to raise their prices, then
It's their business.
it's
I
their
guess.
business. Yeah, and we still think it's great value because
Yeah.
it's wonderful. And I think Chapman, you love the Bahamas too.
Yeah.
So, and you're going cruising or chartering in the BVI soon too. So have a great time there. with
Yeah.
David and Dana. Okay.
Can your electric drive reach the same speed as your diesel engine? No, definitely not. It's
Yeah, it's pretty slow.
it reaches
steady.
about 4.5. It's a backup system, I think, really. You could use it to putter out of a little harbor and then go for a day sail, but we've had trouble adjusting it up to a speed that would really replace a diesel engine.
Yeah, it's
So,
a
I mean,
backup.
we get 7 knots, 7.5 knots pretty easily out of the diesel, nearly 8, and I think we get 4.5 or 5 out,
Right.
out of the hybrid drive. It's partly the size of the boat and limiting it to 48 volts. If you wanted a real electric drive, you might want 2 such motors in a boat like this, or to go to 96 volts or something to make the motors more powerful. But we were just looking for more like a backup system.
Right. Oh, so Scott just got headsets. Oh, it's a game changer. You'll really enjoy them. And there was a question about galvanic corrosion oxidation protection. Can you explain how you're doing that, or monitoring systems to protect the aluminum hull and structure?
I think that's a good idea to do as a separate one.
Sure, yeah.
Let's plan that as a YouTube live just on that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do that rather than try to get into it now. We've been online for 44 minutes, and
Okay, yeah. We want to talk a bit more to see Hello from Manuela. We just joined. Perhaps you
Hey.
discussed this already. We are interested to hear how the engine is performing after the repairs and excitement last year in Guadeloupe. Hi, you guys. Everything is better. Yes. Manuel and Elaine arrived to do a sailaway week with us. Was to be from Martinique up to St. Martin. And that's when we were having gearbox and engine problems. And so everything has been fixed and we are smooth sailing now.
Yeah.
Ship shape. Yeah, we miss you guys, but how cool that you're going to be at the Olympics and you have a family member involved. So have a great time there. We miss you this year.
Yeah.
Maybe next year or later in the season you can join us. And congratulations on your new grandchild too. Okay, serious. 15 kilowatts versus 80 horsepower, right? Yeah, 80 horsepower is our
Yes, that's
diesel.
why we're saying about this, can the electric drive reach it?
Mm-hmm.
We're not actually getting the full 15 kilowatts out of the system yet, so we're still adjusting and working with Combi to try to fix up the last of the little tweaks, the power system. So,
Yeah.
but it would be, so that would be about 25 horsepower, so you should kind of compare it to 25.
Right.
But again, if you use it at a full 15 kilowatts, the battery's only 30, so even if it's fully charged, you could operate at that power for about 2 hours maximum, but that would take it from fully charged down to dead.
Mm-hmm.
So functionally, you might be able to have it at about an hour,
Right.
and you'd have probably 5.5 kilowatts. So maybe, 5.5 knots, I mean, of boat speed. So I think our feeling is that the best thing would be to operate it at about 7 or 8 kilowatts of power as an auxiliary sort of limp home kind of mode, or just moving it in, sailing up to the marina and then using it to maneuver inside the marina.
Right. And you were able to dock the boat.
Yeah, exactly.
Antigua
Yeah,
with
because you're
the
operating
electric.
slowly and just occasional pulses of full power as you're trying to stop the boat from entering a slip or something.
Right.
And that works pretty well. But similarly with the 80 horsepower that we theoretically have on this engine, I mean, honestly, we've never even used that. We've never operated at full power.
Right.
So we're probably never using more than 50 horsepower, I think.
Yeah.
And that's comparing to about
But it's very,
25.
very nice to have it if
Yeah.
there's problems. But thankfully, knock on wood,
Yeah.
we have not had any problems since we left the Netherlands.
Yeah.
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 So that's great. Yeah, well, we're getting close to the end of our time, and we had a couple more questions about cruising in the Caribbean, and mostly about route planning. What cruise guides do we use? Forever, we have used Chris Doyle's cruising guides to the Caribbean. I think he's got 3 or 4. There's the Leeward Islands, Windward Islands. There's a special one just for the British Virgin Islands, which is great. There's one for Trinidad and Tobago. Anyway, if you go to chrisdoyle.com, all his books are listed there. They're available in all the chandleries we've been to. And in the last few years, they've come out with an app as well. So I've got both 3 of the guides just on my phone and my iPad, so you can look at that. We do find, though, it's easier with a book, isn't it? Because you're not having to navigate through pages of...
Yeah, I think if they were all the same, but the apps are also different. So your app has a little maps, sketch charts in there that are kind of not as fun as using
like
the
full page.
Navionics app
Oh,
on the phone
sure, yeah.
or better on an iPad.
Right.
So I think, and then you go to the next one where we're talking about crossing to the Bahamas, and now you need a different kind of interface to learn
Right.
how a little guide on the phone is going to give you information on
Oh, sure. The only advantage we found is the Windward Cruising Guide, the actual book we had was like 2024 to 25. And there have been some updates because of Hurricane Beryl.
Yeah.
So the app has all the updates. So we were using the physical book, easier to plan and look at the sketch charts, and then checking on the app for anything that might be different or changed. So just had the Coast Guard vessel
Guard
go
roared past at 50 knots.
roaring by. So
This is how the noise you get out of the boat when she gets hit by a big wake. One slap on the stern, 2 slaps, finished.
yeah.
So aluminum hulls, how noisy are they? There you go. Full demonstration thanks to the Grenada Coast Guard.
Yes.
So what about the Bahamas? I was thinking about planning the passaging, because that's one of the fun routes that we do. And we'll be heading down that way after we leave the BVI. We'll do
Yeah.
an offshore. It's a really cool route because it's about
I'll put in our
4 days on average. So it's kind of a nice way to get started with Sail Away Week. Nice way to get started with offshore passage making, because the wind is pretty much likely to be a nice wind either on the beam or astern. And passage you're taking, it's about 400 or 500 miles or something like that. And then we plan that route to take us to the Caicos banks and then to the Turks and Caicos.
Yeah, and last year we saw humpback whales. We had
Yeah, that was
amazing
remarkable.
dolphin visits. It's a very nice offshore passage to do if you're new to that, because you see cruise ships at night. You're not that far from land, even though when you were sort of at the most offshore point. So you feel very safe, and you're not alone out there by any means. But the wildlife is amazing. The Turks and Caicos are like the Bahamas. The water is fantastic. And everyone that's done that passage with us has gone on to do bigger and better things on their own boats.
Yeah.
So like Jane and James are in Australia now. They've cruised the Caribbean on their
Yeah.
Garcia and across the South Pacific and are now in Australia. So, and our folks last year are doing charters on their own now. And
And then from
So-
the Turks and Caicos, we have another leg that goes, which is one of the just the coolest legs of, to be able to do a week and a half and explore from the Turks and Caicos across to the far out islands in the Bahamas that are just
oh, magic.
magical places to have these beaches and the incredible water all to yourself. Just for us when we're there, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
so it's great sailing, great
That one finishes
snorkeling.
in Georgetown.
Yes, which
And
is
what-
another cruiser crossroad.
Which is the cruising guide we would use for that? Do you have a Turks and Caicos guide, or is
We
there
have-
Turks and Caicos?
We have a Bahamas guide that includes the Turks and Caicos.
Yeah.
I think the Steve Pavlidis one that's been updated.
Well, that might be a good one. We haven't got that guide yet.
No. Oh, we had the waterway guide to the Bahamas, which included.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Haven't looked that far ahead yet for this season.
But it is a great trip.
Yes, and yes, the shallow draft helps a lot in the Bahamas. It's really fun to poke around in gun coal there. Good. Sirius is off to make a nice salad, which is code for barbecue. Enjoy. It's that time in the Netherlands. Okay, well, we're going to call it there. Thank you very much,
Yes, thank you so
everyone,
much
for
for
coming
coming out.
out on a Sunday. I hope you've had a great weekend. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. And of course, we all love to talk about sailing and
Yeah.
could go on and on, but we want you to go on and enjoy your day. And please check out our Sail Away Week schedule. If you're getting tired of winter and the cold, we'd love to have you come down and spend a week or so with us. And we just work on making the trip what you want and to build the skills that you want to practice.
Yes, that'll be
So,
great.
yeah. So happy Sunday, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye now.